So I still haven't decided how the show's going to start, but it'll probably be something like, welcome to Late to the Movies. My name's Ben Holt, and every week on this, or however often we put these out, haven't actually decided yet, we're going to talk to at least one person who hasn't seen a movie before, that has just watched it, get their reaction, and find out if they're happy they finally saw it. The people who have been so gracious as to be guinea pigs this week are Kyle and Lyndsey. And as I get like super famous people on the podcast, then I'll be like, from whatever TV show. Kyle, you're just from a gym.
Yeah, / high school.
/ high school, right. And Lyndsey's also from a high school now.
I am.
Also
from a TV show, though.
Technically from a TV show, that's right.
Hold on, are you discrediting me already?
Yeah, an NBC one shot.
Yeah,
it was mostly.
I wonder.
It was mostly supposed to be the first of many times we'll make fun of Kyle, but that's true. Also, technically from a TV show.
I stood next to Mario Lopez, so I count that as being on a TV show.
Yeah, I think that counts.
Yeah.
It was Saved by the Bell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So what? The pandemic's kind of warped my mind, but it was 2019.
Yeah, so I competed at Miss America 2019, representing Massachusetts. So it was pretty shocking that when Ben came up to us and was like, hey, we're going to do Miss Congeniality. And Kyle, you've never seen it. And I went, how do you date Miss Massachusetts and not see Miss Congeniality?
Yeah.
So
that's a good question.
We fixed it. I've seen it now.
So from that standpoint alone, I'm sure you are happy that you've seen it finally, because now you can say you have.
Yeah, of course.
So that's good. But we're going to get into all that. But first, I want to just talk to you guys a little bit about your experience watching movies, if it's something you do a lot, if it's something you do more, once in a blue moon.
I really like watching movies. I feel like most of the time, if we just have the TV on, it's on like a random movie. I used to work at the movie theater, so right. I used to get a lot of movies in. I don't get as much now, but I try to.
They're not as free now.
Yeah, they're not as free anymore, but I do try and watch as many movies as I want to see.
Good.
Yeah, I agree. We moved into an apartment recently together, and it was very vital that we had 2 TVs, just because we needed to be able to continue any movies we started on the couch to in bed when we're ready to go to sleep.
Smart. Those are definitely the kind of decisions you need to make and plan for to have a harmonious home life.
Yeah.
Also, we were playing a Jackbox game recently that I don't know if you picked up on this, but it was the one where you just like point at yourself if this applies and one person doesn't get the prompt and you figure out who's lying. And the prompt was, who do you think has seen the most Disney movies? I pointed at myself, and our friend Rob was like, I think you're lying because Kyle's probably seen more than you. I went, I don't know what you're talking about. I've seen so many Disney movies. So you've seen a lot of Disney movies.
I think I could give you a run for your money on the amount of Disney movies.
I'm not calling you out here. That's just a transition into, at the time we're recording this, all 3 of us just saw Shang-Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings, I guess is the whole title. Yesterday, we all saw that. And just one brief reaction, in case people haven't seen it yet, nothing too spoilery, but just overall quick reactions to Shang-Chi.
I felt like it didn't disappoint.
Yeah.
It's kind of exactly what I expected until towards the end.
Sure.
I don't want to say too much, but the end was a little different than the rest of the movie, I think.
Yeah, that's fair. I think this was one of the more hyped Marvel movies in a while, just from the standpoint of it's been a couple years since Marvel movies were coming out every 3 months like they were for a decade. But also, this has gotten really good reviews, especially compared to Black Widow, which got kind of more tepid reception. But I don't know. What do you think, Lyndsey?
I think that the casting was fantastic on it. Truly did not disappoint. Like, everybody was really, truly casted and was really excellent at their roles. One thing I will suggest to our listeners out there, that if you are dyslexic, do not see it in the movie theaters, because you might need to pause the opening sequence. There is some closed captioning. It is vital to the storyline. Yeah. I did not get a chance to read that, and I was very confused for a good hour and 45 minutes after that.
That's a really good point. But I liked it a lot. I think it's really interesting always to see what other Marvel movies get tied in to the new Marvel movie. And I was not expecting the most tied in to be Iron Man 3.
Oh, yeah.
Big shocker.
Yeah.
But I loved it.
Iron Man 3 and a little bit of the Edward Norton Hulk. And those are like the main tie-ins.
Yeah.
And then obviously a little bit of Doctor Strange too. But it seems like everything's tied into Doctor Strange in the next several Marvel movies.
I feel like the Edward Norton Hulk reference is even more shocking.
Yeah, it's kind of out of nowhere. Like, oh, okay. That guy's still around.
The end credit scenes really seal the deal for me. I feel like
that
really completed the whole movie. I felt like that could have been the ending and I would have been happy.
Yeah.
But it's MCU. You have to have the end credits be better than the movie sometimes.
Seriously, yeah. That's definitely a problem with the second Spider-Man movie, I find. The end credits are like, oh, this is more interesting than the rest of the movie, which I liked, but then you're like, oh, what's going to happen next? So yeah, we're going to transition into talking about Miss Congeniality now, which is our topic of the day. And I think we can start with, what did you expect? We should clarify. I've seen this movie before. Lyndsey's seen it a ton of times before. And Kyle, you had only seen like bits and pieces.
Yeah, so I knew a little bit of the plot. I understood that Sandra Bullock worked for some sort of government agency and something was happening at a pageant that she was trying to stop. But other than that, and like the meme of, what's your perfect date?
Yeah, what's the date?
April 25th. Other than that, I didn't really know anything. So
yeah, so I grew up with an older sister who mostly picked what movies we were watching as kids. This came out in 2000. She would have been about 12 or 13, which is probably right around a perfect age for this movie. And so this was like a real formative experience for her. I know, obviously, Lyndsey, you were a lot younger than that in the year 2000.
I think I was like 4.
But curious, when did you come to this movie? And was it, a big deal to you, or was it just kind of a fun thing that you knew about, or what?
Yeah, so like Kyle, I've only seen bits and pieces of it probably till I was about 13. And when I was 13, I decided to compete in my first pageant. And somebody had came by my house and, at the time I was raising money for a charity and had donated to the charity and said, oh, and I have a gift for you. And it was Miss Congeniality on DVD. And my mom lost her mind and was like, this is the best thing. My daughter's going to be Sandra, da, 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 da. And I was like, okay, Mom, whatever. And I had watched it that night and I was like, oh no, I need to be Sandra. This is it. And I feel like every time you're having a bad day or even just hanging out with my friends, I know at Miss America, we put it on a couple times. It's just something that when you're in the pageant world, if you haven't seen it, then you don't belong here. So
yeah,
it's definitely an integral part of our nature, I would say.
I didn't want to presume, but I did kind of presume this obviously has to be at the very least a thing that you're well versed in.
Yeah. So I would say that would be my first step in pageant training. Unlike the movie, it was not taken to a hangar to get beautified. It was watching the process of Sandra Bullock and becoming first runner up.
There you go. Anybody want to take a crack at doing a brief plot overview of the movie? Kyle?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Kyle working off the least amount of notes, which is to say none. Lyndsey has a ton. I have a medium amount.
Yeah, 0 notes. Here we go. So, movie starts off. It looks like they're running some sort of Russian sting operation.
That's right.
And the guy has some discs. We don't really get an explanation of what is illegal that this man has.
Nope.
But long story short,
just Russian mob, bad dude for sure.
And he has the illegal stuff. So the FBI runs in, who Sandra Bullock works for, and she's sitting there, filming this whole ordeal. And long story short, she moves in to rescue the Russian mafia boss from choking, to perform the Heimlich maneuver, and he doesn't take very kindly to that and puts a knife to her throat, and she ends up getting one of her fellow officers shot, which this bothered me. Obviously I don't like people getting shot, but we never hear about this man ever again. I feel like it's
the next scene they're like, oh yeah, he'll be back in 2 weeks. He says,
send me gifts.
Send me
I
gifts.
expect gifts.
Okay, yeah. I must have missed that.
And there's a lot of paperwork.
But you don't actually see him again.
Yeah.
It's just, he was there to get shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to point out, but it actually starts with a flashback of her as a tiny child.
I was going to say, this is the worst summary in history, but I was going to let you keep going and see what came out.
It's okay. It's weird because I feel like you really only need one or the other to get into the plot and kind of establish who the character is, but they do both. Fine. She's like a little kid on a playground, and she saves a boy from getting picked on. And then the boy's mad that it looks like he needed a girl to stand up for him, so she punches him in the face too. And then flash forward to the Russian sting operation.
But what I like about these two openers, and I don't know if you guys noticed this, time clocking it, the first opening and then the second opening at 1 minute and 5 seconds, both times she's both reading a book.
There you go.
So it's something that is like, this is her then, and like it's still the same woman now. So that was the, I think, purpose of the direction.
I like that.
Two openings.
I like that. And so we see in this scene that she doesn't follow orders because she was told not to save the dude, but kind of is. So the term they use in movies is saving the cat. You want your hero to do something heroic at the beginning so you know they're a good person. So her version is to save a choking Russian mobster from choking right in front of them, which, even though it's not following orders, I feel like if you're looking at a guy dying and you're like a federal officer, you're supposed to do something about that. Right?
Yeah, I feel like that's the case.
I feel like I've watched too much Money Heist to give a correct answer, a morally good answer upon that.
But anyway, this gets us into, she's basically put on ice at the bureau. She works for the FBI, right? Mm-hmm. And her boss is really mad at her, and they basically assign her to desk work. And there's a kind of Zodiac-style criminal. It doesn't seem like he's murdering people, but he's sending riddles to the FBI, and they can't track him down. She wants to help, but she's basically told she can't help. Benjamin Bratt, who's like a hunky FBI officer, forms a team to try and take it on. And do you want to pick up from there?
Yeah. So she has a background in like criminal, studying criminals like psyche, and she thinks that she can kind of crack this case. Decoding, thank you.
There you go.
And that's the good word for it.
I haven't seen this 7 times.
And she thinks she can crack this case, and she really wants to get into it. And what's the actor's name? Benjamin? Yeah. I know in the movie his name is Eric Matthews.
Yeah, you can call him the Eric.
I immediately thought Boy Meets World. So
yeah, me too. It was actually a little distracting for me anytime they go. I forgot his name is Eric Matthews.
Yeah, so Eric Matthews, tells her, fine, go ahead, take this letter, try and decode it. And she does, but kind of right after the like home office does. And she finds out that something's going to go down at the Miss United States pageant.
Yeah. And that's the setup for the whole premise of the movie. And I would say that sets up the only parts that people really remember from the movie. Hadn't seen this in a while. I did forget it feels like it takes a while for them to get to San Antonio.
It is a big setup, and it does take a while to get there. However, along the way there's some couple scenes that I think are important.
Okay, let's hear it.
Going through
Again, you have the best notes.
Before getting to, Texas, but reality continuity error. Miss United States is actually held in Las Vegas. Fun fact.
Whoa.
But in the movie, it's Texas.
Wait, hold on. So Miss United States.
Oh, this is an actual thing.
It's a real pageant.
Okay.
It's a real pageant.
Because I figured they were trying to split the difference between Miss USA and Miss America.
So Ben, I literally thought this entire thing until this morning when I rewatched it again with Kyle, and I was like, you know what? I was like, and we Googled it, and I was like, no, this is a legit pageant. You can apply online. Fun fact. But it is very similar style to the Miss America organization. So I think that that's where they were going with it. However,
it's a scholarship organization.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's not a pageant. Going back to this, we learned that she's constantly fighting, right? And she's comfortable fighting Benjamin Bratt, and that ends up being her talent in the end. So like I feel like there's a couple pieces along this way
That's
that
true.
are
There's
important.
Good groundwork laid.
Yeah, exactly.
And they did their own fighting also. And
yes.
She did legitimately injure him in the scene where they're still at headquarters.
Yeah, in the calf, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, they did have stunt devils, I guess, stunt devils, stunt people.
Yeah, stunt doubles. Men
and women, I don't even know. But they actually weren't used. They were just kind of there watching and make sure form was correct, which I think was super cool. Go Sandra. First. Go Sandra. But a couple things before we get to that. The restaurant is actually a restaurant in Austin, Texas, which I thought was fun. And then going forward with that, the Hungry Man dinners, I thought was hilarious, guys. Can we back up to that for a second?
Sure.
So when she goes into the apartment at 9:06, she puts her Hungry Man dinner in the microwave, wedges it closed with a spatula of some
wooden
sort.
spoon.
So
And then she
this is
starts the
after
punching
she's
bag.
been, this is after she's been chewed out by her boss, basically. She's mad and goes home.
So anywho, so then we get to Miss United States.
Before we get there,
Oh, geez.
Oh, back it up again.
I have another thing I want to talk
Please
about.
do.
So
Please do.
we before they decide that she's going to compete in the pageant, they first are trying to like run other female officers through this software that they have.
I'm glad you're calling out this.
Dress Up
Okay.
Sally.
And the guy who was running it says, "Oh, my daughter showed me this. Here's Dress Up Sally," and he's putting
This
all
is
these
how
girls.
computers work.
Yes, exactly how computers work.
So that scene probably doesn't happen in a movie that comes out today, I would imagine. Bunch of dudes around a computer and Sandra Bullock. This website allows them to just take any person and generate a picture of them in a bikini, essentially is the short version. Yeah, lots of laughs, lots of men in bikinis. Ernie Hudson from Ghostbusters. Probably not in a movie today. Very of its time. This is very 2000. And can we go to San Antonio now? Or do we have anything else to talk about?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
So we're in Texas now.
We're in Texas.
We're heading to, I should say, the Miss United States pageant, which if you want to watch this year is Wednesday, October 6th in Las Vegas. Fun fact. On Wikipedia, if you are very interested in learning about this pageant format, there are winners since 2001. The movie came out in 2000. However, the Miss United States pageant has existed many years prior to the movie coming
Since
out.
1986.
Okay.
Wow, look at that fact, Kyle.
Okay.
Go you.
I'm full of them.
Go you.
I think.
Oh God.
The
We can't go to San Antonio yet before.
Oh, what happened? Did we
All right,
miss
let's
something
bring-
else?
we missed
Hold
actually
on,
a pretty
fly
big
back,
part.
Fly back.
So they decide they need to put an agent in the pageant in order to protect them. It's unclear why they couldn't just be at the pageant as the FBI, why they actually needed someone on stage. I guess so they had a better vantage point. That was it. So they had access to all the areas.
I think they were worried too that it could be one of the girls. That it could.
Yeah.
That this.
Well, that and you have girls who have dressing rooms. They're, doing their thing, getting ready, getting changed between competition phases. And I think they were nervous about something happening between there is what they said. So they needed somebody to be a competitor in it to have access to those
That makes
areas.
sense.
Even at Miss America, from experience, you wear a badge 24/7, and on your badge says what you have access to, and only the candidates. Yeah, only the candidates have access to the backstage area, unless you are a NBC staff that is back there.
That makes
and
sense.
there's not many. There's one or two that are NBC staff that are back there. So
That makes sense.
So it's tough to get to. So if somebody were to attack the girls back there, that would be the place to do it.
So the reason we can't go to San Antonio yet, they go to the organizer of the
the
scholarship,
the president.
organization.
Of the organization.
Yeah, the president. Yeah, the president of it, played by Candice Bergen, and William Shatner, who is the host of the show, is also involved on the corporate side of the organization, apparently. So he's in this meeting too. And they pitch this idea to Candice Bergen, the president of the organization, who is against it. There's a really fun shot where there's like a mural of different winners behind her. And in a moment of anger, she stands up and is perfectly framed with the crown above her head. Good shot. It's not like a very showily directed movie, but that was something that you think of. Maybe they just found on the day and were like, oh yeah, this will be perfect. We got to do this.
Yeah, whoever the camera person or camera workman was did a fantastic job there. Now,
And,
can I pause you for a second before
yes,
we go
absolutely.
to the airplane hangar? One thing I do want to point out in
We're
this
never
scene,
getting to
No, we're never going to San Antonio, guys. We're not going to Texas.
No problem.
One of the things I do want to point out to you is that the organization president says, it's about scholarship, travel, and meeting people. And I'll guarantee you, if you listeners out there ask any Miss America candidate, any pageant candidate, they will tell you that exact same answer, because that is truly like what it is about. So I thought that was pretty iconic that they put that tidbit in there.
Nice.
One of the famous sound bites that I love that comes up again later is that this is not a beauty pageant. It is a scholarship program at 2331. This is iconic because that is what organizations, like Miss United States, Miss America are about now. And not that they really train you to say this, but it is essentially like your self-defense when people do want to attack your organization. You're like, whoa, it's not a beauty pageant. It's a scholarship organization. And to give a little credit, I did graduate debt-free because of its scholarship. So
that part's real.
So that part is real. It is not a continuity error. It is not made up. It is 100% real. $27,000 later in scholarship money, all thanks to a little crown and sash. So we'll take it. We'll take it.
For sure.
So
we're in the airplane hangar.
We're in the airplane hangar. I feel like we
haven't met Michael Caine, but we can meet him in the airplane hangar if you want.
Yeah, that kind of all gets pushed together. They meet Michael Caine in a dinner or a lunch, whatever. They're in a restaurant, and
you're gonna skip over Glide? Excuse me, I was gliding here.
You're right. We can't go to the hangar yet.
Which was a super weird scene when they leave the restaurant and she's like gliding across the street as she's saying. Mm-hmm. And the taxi pulls up like it's going to hit them, but there's like 40 people in the road. Like he's just going to plow through 40 people.
And the taxi driver is specifically mad at Sandra Bullock. But it is
the audacity of Sandra Bullock's gliding.
A crowded crosswalk that the guy was going to plow into. It's a reference, of course, to Midnight Cowboy and the I'm walking here scene with Dustin Hoffman. But aside from that, there's no reason for it to be in the movie aside from they were like, that's a famous movie set in New York. Let's do that too. And adapt it to, hey, I'm gliding here. So can we go?
I'm cool with moving on.
Okay, we're in the hangar.
Hold on. No, I'm just kidding.
There is...
I feel like we need a clapping emoji here just because we made it this far.
Yeah, we're doing a great job. We are not to the pageant yet, but it's okay. We've laid the groundwork. We are boarding the plane, but we're not quite there yet because there is a pretty iconic montage of makeover stuff in the airplane hangar. Sandra Bullock, who looks like Sandra Bullock, is a hideous monster to everyone she meets. Also a trope of 90s and early thousands movies like this, where this person is the most disgusting. You can tell she's disgusting because she wears a baggy shirt that has some stains on it. And
whoa. Hold up.
According to the movie, not to me.
What am I wearing right now, guys? A baggy
according
shirt
to the movie,
with a stain on it.
And she eats entire pints of ice cream in bars and
chews with her mouth open.
She mostly has her hair pulled back, but not all of it. Some of it's just like in her face, and this makes her just the worst. Everyone thinks she's just disgusting. And so after the montage, Tom Jones's Mustang Sally comes on. Then she falls down that might be the first time, but she falls down multiple times throughout the movie. That's just like a thing.
You're not counting the apartment scene.
That's true.
Oh, she does trip in the apartment. Her blankets are all over the place.
Yeah, total slot.
That happens though.
She's just a klutz.
She's a klutz.
She's a klutz.
Sometimes, not all the
time. According to the movie, the world's most disgusting, klutzy woman you will ever meet.
And then they get on a plane, and she watches, I guess, other winners of pageants and makes fun of them.
So I feel like this is like the prep of pageantry, right? So now you guys obviously have not competed in a pageant. Nor do I expect you guys to. I have a question for you guys. Go on. What do you guys think of these scenes? Do you think they're accurate? Do you think, like, I'm curious, as somebody who like knows and has been through the process, like now you've seen the scene of the hangar and the airplane ride, like what are your thoughts, and what do you think is real and what do you think is fake?
Well, I imagine there's a little bit less of a large team of people that seem to be like, she's in a dentist chair and she's got like 30 people around her, all poking and prodding and stuff, and I guess pulling her hair out. Aside from that, I don't think you didn't go to Mohegan Sun in a private jet, right?
I did not go to Mohegan Sun in a private jet.
Aside from that,
a private Chevy
accurate.
Cruise.
Yeah, I agree with Ben in this case, where everything that they showed on her watching on that laptop on the plane, like every single pageant that I've been to that I've seen somebody win, they are holding their face or like hunched over. This is the most exciting thing, which it is. It's a very exciting thing. They just want a bunch of scholarship money. But you know, those faces, those reactions, 100% genuine. I do think that the team of dentists could be a real thing. I don't know if you want to talk about this because it's your mouth.
Okay.
But when you won, you did have someone come in and fix your teeth. You can talk more about it if you'd like. don't think
that
Ben
was
knows
very
this
flattering.
Story. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you win, I mean, technically she's won her state, right? Like we're fast forwarding to that part of her life, essentially, if she were to compete at states. Once you win your state title, you kind of are flooded with something called sponsors, and they fix your teeth, they fix your hair, they fix your eyebrows, they do your eyelashes. So like the first like 24 hours of winning your state, or 24 hours before going to Miss America, like you are going to multiple appointments, you are being poke and prodded at, not necessarily that intensely as being in the hangar, but the same kind of concept, but probably spread it out time span a little bit more. So like appointment here.
It's not over the course of 20 minutes in one chair.
No, I did not get my teeth fixed and my hair brushed in the same setting, but I did get both done within the same day.
Jeez. All right. So the last episode we did was about 45
did you want me to talk about my tooth? Is that what you're telling me? Is that what you were
That's
setting
what I
me
meant
up
by
to?
yeah, that's what I meant by it's your mouth.
Oh, I didn't realize you were setting me up for that. I thought you were like talking about like
the sponsors. No, that's good to plug the sponsors quick.
Sponsors. But we like sponsors. Sponsor this podcast.
If you're a dentist and you want to fix our teeth.
No, quick. Well, this is a side note. Quick story short. When I won the title of Miss Massachusetts, kind of like the movie, you're there for a couple days. You compete in prelims, then you do your finals, you win, etc. All pretty logistically how a state competition and a national competition is ran. A little different in my story because when I was getting ready for my private interview, which is a phase that they did not show in the movie, which is similar to their onstage question, their interviews, but it's not on stage, it's private. I broke my front tooth and I actually won with a broken front tooth the entire pageant. So my first duty as Miss Massachusetts, they were like, "Can we fix your teeth, please?" It was a rough go, but yeah.
Wow. That is a
story
of perseverance.
So there was a dentist or a hygienist in her mouth while she was competing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Backstage.
And that is what I meant by it's your mouth if you want to talk about it.
Sorry, that was a missed opportunity, guys. My bad.
You got it in there. That's all good.
Are we in Texas yet?
That's the main thing that happens next is she gets there. There's a reception, a breakfast reception at the hotel they're all staying at. And she meets, even though there are 49 other competitors there, there's only about 5 that get lines in the movie. Mm-hmm. It's New York, obviously her, New Jersey, Texas,
California,
Hawaii, and Rhode Island, right?
Which I think is iconic because a lot of like my Miss America friends were those same states.
There you go. That makes sense. Those are the best states, obviously. And that's when I feel like this is when you start getting into a lot of the parts that I remember, and I assume most people remember. This is the scene where she does the aloha, aloha thing. And obviously Rhode Island has, I think, the best lines in the movie.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Pretty great performance of someone who kind of comes off as dumb at first, but is actually like just a nice person who gets frazzled when asked questions, which is understandable. Anything there that we need to talk? See, I'm like really like, can we keep going? Or I'm like, I don't know.
No, I mean,
I don't want to progress the plot too quickly.
I think we're good. I think now we're heading onto the bus, right?
Something that you pointed out when we were watching it was when they are getting onto this bus, or maybe right when she shows up. You see the woman in her talent costume.
Yeah,
so she's in the background.
Yeah, if you look in the background while they're getting on the bus, Sandra Bullock falls. She walks by the guy. The guy's being a creep to everybody. He just lets her on. While they're in the process of doing that, if you look in the background, there is a woman who is greeting everybody to get on the bus. I don't know if the costume's like traditional to the hotel or like San Antonio. Like, I don't really know what the significance was. But this woman was dressed in the costume greeting the candidates as they got onto the bus. And that's where she gets her costume from. But I wonder if that's like a deleted scene.
Yeah, I was about to say, if there's not a deleted scene with them somehow getting this costume from this woman, I will be very surprised.
Yeah, that's a good point, because just it's not really commented on enough for how ridiculous the costume was.
Like, what is the significance of this with the cups? So
yeah, well, she didn't have a costume, and then she steals one. So that costume, when she's on stage, is at 52:51, by the way, guys. So
cool. We're almost an hour in to this hour and 50-minute long movie. Still less than halfway. Yeah. They get on the bus. They sing the song. do they go to the first thing yet, or what do they do at that point?
They go to
They were practicing. Yeah,
right?
They were doing the
okay.
rehearsal, the dance moves.
Gotcha.
Which, fun fact about the scene, as we progress forward, Sandra Bullock did not learn the choreography for the scene, and instead she just got thrown in as they were about to film it, so that way it looked more authentic to her not knowing it, which I think is awesome.
Smart too. That's the kind of like thing I feel like I would come up with, not specifically that, but a way to seem like you're doing your job better by putting in less effort. That seems sort of what my goal normally is.
Are you calling Sandra lazy? Hold on.
I'm calling her extremely smart. If that wasn't already worked into the production schedule, she's like, it'll be even better if I don't show up for any rehearsals.
Work smarter, not harder.
Exactly. Sandy.
And then if they hated it, they could have just been like, never mind, learn it. And then we'll run it back a little while later.
As this is happening, the FBI people come down. They set up in the hotel also. They're there kind of getting some new intel. They have an earpiece in Sandy's ear and a camera.
It's on her flag pin. If you track the flag pin. Yeah. So
that is established, but I was probably not looking at it. They have a break eventually, but that comes a little bit later. For what Sandy's doing is after that, she goes to bed, but then Victor, Michael Caine's character, makes her go practice. That's where they find out that she doesn't actually have a talent prepared, right?
That is correct. She doesn't have a talent prepared, and she's trying to smuggle donuts.
Yes, she is.
She's hiding donuts all over her dress.
I fully support this. I actually did do this at Miss America. But no, they say, all she's got for talent is converting oxygen into carbon dioxide. I thought this was fantastic. And I know this was not intended, nor did we predict the future, but can we just give a round of applause for the producers? Because the Miss America winning talent this year was a oxidizing science experiment. So it literally was a very cool experiment and monologue. Absolutely dope. Love Camille, Miss America. But the part of the equation was turning O2 into CO2, which I think is fantastic and a great nod to this movie.
That's really funny. Yeah, thank you for... Yeah, I didn't know that.
That's at 4805.
There you go. So that would have been turns out that would have been a good talent for her to use. But instead, as we find out in the next scene, which takes place in front of the Alamo, that is the first competition scene, pretty much. So we see a few different talents. Eventually we get to Sandy. That is also a really memorable scene that I think people think about, is her doing the glass playing in that ridiculous outfit that they don't really give any explanation of where it came from. No one else is in like a huge costume like that.
They're just in like normal dresses.
Yeah, they're wearing like normal like performing clothes, but no one's in like a Halloween Express style.
Theatric costume.
For Halloween, shout out.
Spirit Halloween sponsor.
This is a scene that I've never understood why everyone thinks it's as funny as they do. Like, it's definitely like pretty funny, but when she rings the bell at the end of like each little line of notes she plays, people lose their minds.
Yeah, they think it's the
funniest thing they've ever seen.
I think it's just the combination of that you're at a pageant or scholarship competition and you have these beautiful women coming out who are all about world peace and in their cute little dresses, and then you have Sandra come out in a German like costume with glasses of water and a bell, and it's just like the combination of everything. Like, what the heck is going on? How did this even get to the Miss America stage or Miss whatever stage? So I think it's just the combination of everything.
That's fair.
I did love the variety of talents they showed us in this scene. We see the woman singing opera, we see the baton twirling, we see the cups, and then we see someone making balloon animals, and there's like people in the background wearing like balloon animal hats. So very different talents.
Yeah.
Something I have not seen on a pageant scholarship program stage yet.
You can call it pageant. I mean, it is
no balloon animals?
There is somebody who actually did do balloon animals in our local competitions this past couple of years, actually 2 or 3 years now. But she does a comedy act with it as well. So it's really interesting to see. It's very cool.
It really did seem like the one in the movie. It was just balloon animals. It was just straight balloon animals. No further context. Maybe they were really good balloon animals, though. You only see her for a couple seconds. So, Sandy, I don't know if we've called her by her character's name once here, but Grace Hart in the pageant. Gracie Lou Freebush, obviously. A joke name that she came up with earlier that then they gave her because that's what you do when people come up with a joke name. I've done that in my life too. It's always funny. She thinks she sees someone with a gun because the sexist, he does have a gun, but she thinks he's looking for, an opportunity to shoot her. And she jumps into the crowd, setting up one of the funnier jokes, I think.
I love this joke.
When she's being interviewed afterwards, and you see this in Candice Bergen backstage afterwards, watching this on the local news. Sandy's interviewed afterwards, and they were like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Well, I forget the exact quote, but it's, we're all anti-smoking, anti-tobacco here."
He'll think twice when he lights it up next time.
Yeah, very funny. Good joke.
Yeah, and then we head over to the next preliminary.
Right.
Well, does that... I think that sets up the scene that me and you had talked about, where you had brought something up that I didn't notice.
Oh, I already forgot something else. What else did I forget?
So when Sandra Bullock and Candice Bergen are in that room, Candice Bergen says something to Sandra Bullock like, "If you mess up this pageant, I'll kill you."
Oh, how did I forget that? I literally had to explain the plot to you after the movie.
Yeah, so I did not pick up on that.
Right, yeah, everyone's in the room, but she says, "I need to have like a one-on-one conversation with Grace."
Correct.
Yeah, and where's the scene? And I have to go back in my notes now. Sorry for the flipping pages. The scene, okay, so after we have the conversation about her not having a talent, we fast forward real quick. Let me back it up. We go to the crown scene where somebody puts the bomb on the forehead and sees how it would blow up a mannequin. So that gives us a hint that it's going to be something to do with like something going on somebody's head. Mm-hmm. And automatically, like the first time I watched this, I was like, oh, duh, it's the crown.
Right.
But from somebody who's not a pageant competitor, like I don't expect that. But then once you see this scene, I feel like for the audience, like it sets you up to be like, it's definitely them.
Yeah.
But then Kyle watched it and was like,
I did not pick up on that. I did not know it was her. It was a nice surprise at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
I already spoiled
we'll get
it,
there.
But
we're basically describing every minute of the movie in real time at this rate. So,
we have a lot of details.
I love it. This is good. We definitely don't need to like stretch for time in this episode. So they go to the swimsuit competition. As Michael Caine's pushing around on stage, he says, "This is my worst nightmare." And he says, "Well, here it is," basically. Which
retweet, been there, done that. Quick thing, there's really not much in this scene, I feel like, as far as for plot. I did want to throw in just some funny things that I thought when watching this scene. Butt glue is a thing. So we do put hairspray or specifically glue that is made for your butt on our bathing suits to prevent them from riding up. And then we fast forward to onstage question, which is the whole punchline of the movie and what it's really known for.
Yeah.
With Miss Rhode Island there. So do you guys want to talk about that? I know that is an
absolutely.
iconic moment for you guys.
For sure. Yeah. That's, I think, April 25th?
April 25th.
Somebody posts the screenshot of describe your perfect date, and Miss Rhode Island says April 25th. Because it's not
too hot, not too cold.
All you need is a
light jacket.
Very good.
Mm-hmm. And then you also see a bunch of other competitors' answers here. And it seems like everyone really loves world peace. Everybody is for world peace. And I love Sandra Bullock's answer. They say, I forget the question exactly, but it was like, what is something that we need in the world? And
yeah,
like,
I think it's that.
Harder punishments for parole violators. And then she kind of looks in the audience and sees that everyone's like, what is she talking about? She goes, and world peace.
Everyone applauds. So on IMDb, Wiki, wherever you check, it does say that the answer that Rhode Island gives there is an answer that was given to that question in a real pageant, with no citation or source.
Oh man,
it's like, okay, so I wanted to know, okay, who, but I couldn't figure out
that.
If you're out there and they copyrighted you, we're ready to fight.
yeah, like,
they might have had it wiped from the internet.
Honestly, I googled it as well because I knew this, but I couldn't find it either.
Yeah, because that's one of those things. It's like, okay,
they're taking it to the grave.
I want to know who did that. Very funny though. That whole scene. I feel like once it gets to the pageant stuff, it's pretty much all
comedy.
Yeah, it's really funny. It's good stuff.
I think what's interesting here, I don't know if it's like a continuity error or something, but you see all the previous answers and they're like quick 2-second answers. Sandra's answer is quick, or Grace 2-second answer. And then they go to Rhode Island. She gives this really long answer and they're like, oh, we think it's Rhode Island backstage. And if you notice while they're talking about this, Rhode Island is still interviewing. Yes. Like it is still going on. Like it has now been like a 2-minute interview. Like get the lamb hook and pull her off stage. So I thought that was odd that they all had 30 seconds or whatever, and Rhode Island's just giving a whole speech up there.
What is more realistic, like a 2-word answer or?
Honestly, I always go 30 seconds. And at Miss America, you get 30 seconds before they cut off your mic. So like 25 to 27 seconds is like your ideal. But you want to state your stance. So like something like Sandra's answer, where, saying the harsher punishments and then just giving a quick why would have been a winning answer.
Cool.
Yeah.
So she did the best. She's ahead at this point.
Yeah, she's winning.
I think they do a decent amount of business about the crime stuff between that and the next part of the actual competition. And they also have them all go out to the Dayglow Paint Club, I think. Does that happen here?
Yeah. It looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I would love to hit some drums and get some paint splashed on me. It looks like it's a great time.
It does look fun.
Well, we're in COVID time, so I can put some like saran wrap on a bowl and you can smack that and I'll just squirt some Crayola paint at you.
That is about as close as you can get right now. But yeah, I just want to be like, was that a real club? Because that's not something you just come up with for a movie. So that must have been a real thing happening. They were actually filming around Texas. So I guess in San Antonio in the year 2000, Dayglow Paint Club. Yeah, why not?
I got you. I'm Googling.
Okay, cool. Well, it's not like a huge deal, but
this is for the whole continuity of the movie.
Oh my gosh, it's a nightclub in the UK. It's called Crash Manor. It's a UV paint and dance party. It was a wild rager, DJs, dance competition. The event seemed like a blast. And basically, the Miss Congeniality was, I believe it was filmed there as well, but it was inspired off of that club.
Okay. I mean, it does look really fun.
Looks like a good time.
This is where Sandra tries to press Rhode Island because she's still a suspect at this point. She decides that it must be Candice Bergen's character, then goes to her bosses at the FBI, but they've already decided that they found the guy responsible and they're going home. She says she wants to stay, so they leave her there as a private citizen. She doesn't have her badge or her gun. And then Eric Matthews, again, yeah, it really threw me off anytime I saw his name.
So I don't know if you've seen the episode of Boy Meets World where Eric Matthews wants to be like a secret agent, and that's all I can think of the whole time.
It worked out. He got a lot handsomer really quickly.
I liked this part of the movie, or this plot line of the movie, because I felt like whether you were watching this as a pageant girl, whether you were watching this for the comedy, whether you were watching this for the romance, like I had a little bit of everything, and this is the part of like the romance section that like, you got to break your heart before you put it back together. So I like that they included this in the even like the Snickers and then the kiss at the end. Like I like that this storyline is like underneath everything else, but it's not the most important part of the movie.
Yeah, it's a good mix. You're totally right of all those different elements. And I do think it's pretty well balanced that stuff's happening either at the same time or separately. It doesn't really detract from any other element of the movie. So this is where she's now deciding just to basically be in the competition for herself, I guess. And
for herself, for the scholarship.
For the scholarship.
Well, she also thinks that there's something is happening here.
Well, she does suspect the president's the organization's president. She does suspect them at this point. She literally just said, "I'm going to kill you," and she's like, "Wow, I think you could be a killer." Like, great job, Sherlock. But now she's staying in this not just for herself and to prove herself right, but now she's friends with these girls and she wants to protect them.
Right. Yeah. I think she says like I have to, protect those girls, and so she goes back. Victor, Michael Caine's character, was told that if he doesn't leave, that he's not going to get paid. So he also seems like he's leaving, just like Eric Matthews does, until they come back a couple scenes later.
Well, in conversation, they were mentioned that the son, had changed his name, that he had ties to this situation.
And he has a criminal past.
As they're about to get on the plane.
As they're getting on the plane. And that's when, he puts it all together and goes, Grace is right, and we do need to go back because, clearly this was not just a one man crime. Like there's different components to it, and they turn around and they head back. I love when they're heading back. My favorite scene in the whole movie is the FBI badge when he asks for the tickets, and then the eyeshadow palette. I think that's iconic.
Very funny. Setting up later on when they're inside, more in Michael Caine's world, and one of the stagehands is like, "What are you doing here?" And he goes, "Oh, he's with me." And Benjamin Bratt's like, "Well, I'm not like with him." Then Michael Caine calls him Muffin. Very fun. Everyone's having a good time. I think around there is also where once you're pretty sure that it is the head of the organization, they just go ahead and have a scene where she has like the exploding crown and is telling her son to get in position and to execute the plan. And that's where you find out that she was the one telling the person in the cabin in Montana or whatever to send those threatening notes to the FBI. Right?
Yeah. And cool. we see a scene where the current Miss United States has the new crown, and Candice Bergen comes over and says, "Oh, Frank, why don't you bring this to production or someone and have them clean it quick because this looks gross."
Yep.
And then he goes and exchanges the crown for the exploding crown.
You also see like a couple, I don't want to say a whole scene later because it's really not. It's like a snapshot later. She's standing backstage with the girl. Sandra Bullock's getting ready. And she goes, one of the girls goes, "Oh, where is it?" And she goes, "Oh, they're holding on to it for me. I'll have it back in just a second."
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like a side conversation. It's not really at full volume on the TV, but that kind of gives you another hint too, if you missed it the first time, that she doesn't have the crown and that it's not in her possession and something's going on.
Yeah, and that's when Sandra Bullock realizes, like, oh, this is how it's going down. There's something in that crown.
Mm-hmm. She tries to tell Michael Caine it's the crown. He goes, "Yes, you are the crown.
Yes.
Be the crown.
Go get it."
Accurate statements we use in pageant world, actually. I could pull up many text threads where managers or moms or whoever is like, "You are the crown. You are Miss Massachusetts."
That's fantastic.
So I thought that was a great nod.
So from there, we get kind of everything coming to a head. There's a fist fight on a catwalk backstage. There's, I guess the competition is still going on at this point. They announced the top
5.
Yep, they announced the top 5. New York is eliminated, and California.
Texas takes second runner-up.
Yeah, that comes later. Jeez.
Oh, I'm sorry.
When they go from 10 to 5.
Oh, bad at math.
Yeah.
That's
we're on final OSQ, my friend.
Got it.
That's when New York gives a shout out to just lesbians in general and to her girlfriend. And
California's not eliminated yet. She's 4th runner.
We do get a funny scene with that too. With they go to like the production room, and some guy goes, "Can you say lesbian on TV?" And there's the woman backstage who kind of looks at him, and she's like, "Do you have a problem with that?"
Can we have a nod to that for being in the 2000s?
Yeah,
and that,
2001.
Not bad.
We love it.
And then pretty much it just comes sort of careening to the end. There's another interview question, right?
Yeah, so you have your final conversation. So in this pageant system, which is similar to Miss America, they have that same format where you have your initial onstage question, you have your prelim stuff, and then when it comes to finals, you eliminate throughout the process. So they did talent and then went down to a top 5, right? Or talent and swim, I should say, went down to a top 5, and now it's the final question. So this is like the final ballot type of deal. They ask a quick question. It's pretty generic between all of them, and it's just basically like, why this organization? Why you? Why would you want to be? I like Sandra's answer and watching the woman just be so uncomfortable in her seat as she's talking about going to kill her. And
These are all my new friends, and if anyone was going to hurt them, I would find them and hurt them.
Yep.
And if they ran away, I would hunt them down.
There you have the movie sort of, not even in a heavy-handed way, but sort of spelling out her character's arc of saying, the question is, what do you say to people who think that this is out of date, etc.? And she starts by saying, "I used to be one of them," and then gives like a really lovely answer. And Michael Caine's super happy backstage. And then she transitions to talking about killing the person, which is also part of her character in a fun way.
I thought it was also great that character, the pageant president, had said, "Oh, I'm going to kill you," and now she's standing on stage, and I just thought that was funny how it played back and forth between the two characters.
No doubt.
But then we go to top 5. They start announcing 4th runner-up. She's trying to signal to everybody that it's in the crown. Everybody's fighting backstage. The clicker is going everywhere.
Yep. Yep.
Texas is mad.
Yep. So the bomb crown's on stage now, and the clicker that Frank, the son, has and is fighting with Eric Matthews. Just have to say the full name every time because it's never not weird. They're fighting over the clicker to set it off. New Jersey comes in second. First one, runner-up, I guess, terminology.
First runner-up.
First runner-up. And Rhode Island wins. Sandra's being led away. She's telling her not to take the crown. She doesn't understand what she's talking about. So then she has to fight through a bunch of people, including Texas, who she punches in the nose and sends flying off the stage.
Who we later get to see with like their nose is all broken. She's got tape on it.
So this is a really cool scene because there's a lot happening at the same time. I always love when comedies sort of come to this big
controlled chaos.
Yeah. This big chaotic moment it builds up all these different things between the fight backstage, the chaos happening on the stage with one of the contestants fighting through security, punching one of the other contestants in the nose, sending them flying into the crowd, and then ripping the crown away from Rhode Island. And it kind of pans around to different people doing these different things. William Shatner singing a song about grace and poise and stuff. And then Bullock flings the crown into the Statue of Liberty's head as Candice Bergen picks up the detonator and sets it off. It all explodes, and that's pretty much where the movie kind of stops.
So this, I don't know why I thought of this. It's a little similar. During this scene, there's another movie about pageants. And when I saw this scene,
Miss Congeniality 2?
Miss Congeniality 2, no, about pageants and about murder in this sense.
Okay.
It's from '99, and it's called Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Oh, sure.
And have you seen this?
A very long time ago. I remember basically nothing about it.
And someone's going around like murdering.
It's a really good title for a movie.
Yes, murdering like pageant contestants, and as she's throwing the crown into the Statue of Liberty and the face kind of explodes. It gave me like a flashback to that movie. So I thought that was kind of cool.
I like it. So Candice Bergen, very obviously the culprit, gets led away. Sandra Bullock and Benjamin Bratt's characters finally kiss. And then the next morning they have an emotional conclusion where she's presented with Miss Congeniality.
When they do kiss, I was thinking about the scene from earlier in the movie, and I did say this out loud when we were watching it.
I think that if we were to ever create a movie, I wouldn't want to create a movie. I would want to edit this one scene in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So earlier in the movie, when Sandra Bullock sang the song like "You like me, you want to kiss me," and then he like pulls her in close, and then he takes a bite of like his Milky Way. Mm-hmm. What I really wanted in that last scene is like when she sings the song again, and he gets in close to go and kiss her, to her just like put a Milky Way in the way. I thought that would have been a nice touch.
Much more iconic.
That would have, she would have had to really think that one out in advance, though, to have that prop ready to
the
go.
Milky Way ready.
I mean, it's just a Milky Way, though. You just ate celery for 4 days.
That's true.
I definitely had more obscured candy items after Miss America than just a Milky Way.
Donuts on her.
That's true. She's definitely had some kind of snack available.
Mm-hmm.
She was ready to fancy feast it out.
Yeah, I think so. That's a great way to put it. Term everyone uses.
when they're going to eat a Milky Way, I'm gonna have my fancy feast. Break me off a piece of that.
So that's back in that reception room at the hotel the next morning, the other contestants present her with the Miss Congeniality sash, and you're like, oh, that's the name of the movie. That's where we end.
Now, do you guys know like what is Miss Congeniality? Like what does that mean?
So,
do you know the honor of the title? Do you understand that concept?
I think so. It's the title that all the other candidates, is that the word we're using now?
I mean, you just hit yourself in the face as you said it, so you can use whatever word you want.
I think the pageant world uses the word candidates now. They all vote for who they liked the best or who was the nicest, and that person wins the title of Miss Congeniality. Is that correct?
That would be my understanding.
Yeah. So you guys aren't too far off. So I looked up the actual definition today, just confirm what I already knew. Mm-hmm. But it's essentially you vote. It's voted on by the candidates, so the people who want to beat you and win the title, but who embodies the Miss United States title. So it may not necessarily be the winner, but it's the person who, that if they weren't competing and they were just doing it based on moral character, you would want that person to win. So yeah, they all voted for her. They thought she should be Miss United States. So that's the honor of it. Like, wow, I didn't win it, but they all think I should.
That's really nice. Good movie.
Great talk, guys.
I liked it.
Good.
I'm glad I finally watched it from start to end.
You got a lot of cutting to do.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be fun.
Feel free to cut out all the boring parts.
This is like the first wave of episodes that we're doing. So people, if you're not here for the long pauses and the ums and the ahs, then I don't know what you're doing here.
I feel like we did a good job of not.
We did.
Of not umming.
And unfortunately, we still have a few segments left. So
I would like to take a quick bathroom break. I did drink a smoothie and a tea.
Fine.
Before we started.
Gosh, there's no breaks during rehearsal. Don't you know this?
Yeah, we're back. Yeah, I dig it.
You can take that soundbite and just insert it throughout the whole podcast now.
Oh, well. We're back. We just finished talking about the main plot of Miss Congeniality, and now I want to talk to you guys about your reactions to the movie. Kyle, if it's held up to what you thought it would be, anything surprised you, and then also Lyndsey, you've seen it a bunch of times, but anything that you had forgotten or any new reactions to it, let me know.
I thought it was a good movie. I feel like the only thing that was surprising to me was that it was the pageant president who was kind of trying to murder someone on stage. I don't really understand her logic, but I guess I wouldn't understand the logic of an insane person.
I think at some point when she's explaining, her villain speech to Sandy, she's like, they thought they could fire me and replace me with something, younger and hotter and more explosive. I'll give them explosive. And she's like, by blowing up someone's head? What are you talking about?
It's a James Bond villain speech. I do like the joke at the end where Sandra Bullock kind of slams the door in her face, the police car, and she's waving her off as she's getting driven, and she says, "Good luck running for Miss Correctional Facility," or whatever she tells her. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my overall reaction was just more of like, oh wow, this is a piece of my home, because I feel like that movie's been a part of my life for so long. So
makes sense.
It was nice to watch it with Kyle finally. I feel like I neglected you by putting you through the process before showing you the process, but here we are.
Yeah, finally filled in that last puzzle piece for Kyle's pageant experience.
What I needed, needed to close the door.
Yeah, it's officially closed now.
So do you feel like it does a good job representing, obviously not one-to-one, but I feel like it does it's pretty sensitive, I guess, as to what these people are going through and how kind of difficult it is for them.
Yeah, I mean, we sadly don't get to go out and play on paint drums and drink pizza
Right.
and beer, or drink pizza, eat pizza, drink beer. Wow, maybe I should have taken a break. But no, I think it does a really great job, and paying close attention to it now because I was taking notes this time, like seeing the percents being said and like the percents weights and the competitions and how they cut down the candidates and how you compete. And I think like all of that, like the introduction, the explanation of the phases, like those little details that you don't normally pay attention to the first time you see it, like they are very accurate to what Miss America is also representing and what Miss America is doing. And although we're at a phase now where like 2.0 and swimsuits no longer part of Miss America, I did compete in that lifestyle and fitness portion. So like I feel like comparing it to the old Miss America, like it was very relevant.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think one of the things, I mean, I've seen it before, so maybe not surprising, but one of the things that I do appreciate about it is that it does sort of, even though it's a comedy and even though it's about, a crime situation, it does really go out of its way to make a point that like these are smart people, and even though they make the scholarship thing kind of a joke, they sort of also back that up. It's not just, I think when you think about the movie, you think about Rhode Island, and she's not even a dumb person, but kind of ditzy or whatever, but it makes the point that like, actually, no, she's not really like that, and no one here is really like that.
Yeah, I think the whole idea of like the pageant side of this movie was to take what people think pageantry really is and put that in the persona of Rhode Island and then unbox it and show what it really is about and how it is a scholarship program. How, it even says like Rhode Island has a degree in science and she's doing something on like molecular level stuff.
Yeah,
and it's
like
like
a neuroscience.
Yeah. And you're like, wait a second, April
25th is a nuclear scientist.
But she is. She like works in biomechanics or whatnot. And I think that that's really cool how they did include those small components of it that unbox the world of pageantry.
And one last note on the movie. In the control booth at the pageant, there's a visible sign in the background It has a Canadian maple leaf in the middle of a red circle with a red slash through it, because it's an anti-Canadian movie.
It's an anti-Canadian movie.
It's supposed to be an inside joke about how many movies are made in Canada, mostly due to the exchange rate causing lower production costs. So that's a classic IMDb trivia.
Wow.
A little bit.
Shout out to
fun
Canada.
fact right there. Yeah, look, I still like Canada, but the people who made this movie very mad at Canada.
I have a fun fact about Canada and their TV and movie industry.
If it's about
Go on.
Bieber, I don't want to hear it.
It's not about Justin Bieber. Oh, it does include radio too, I guess. Stations in Canada have to play so much Canadian filmed movies, TVs, or music every day. So a certain percentage, I don't know exactly what that percentage is, but by law they have to play so much Canadian only, whatever their genre is, movies, films.
Yeah, that I did know from the radio part of it, but it's still funny when they do that. I mean, it makes sense if you want to keep the CBC maple leafy. Yeah,
your area, I guess.
I feel like growing up, I watched a lot of Canadian shows, so I feel like they should, give us a break going the other direction. But whatever, they just have "Are You Afraid in the Dark" on repeat. Maybe.
Oh, I didn't know that was Canadian.
A lot of the early Nick shows are imports from Canada. But we can talk about that in a different episode.
Yeah, okay.
I do want to play a little game with you guys, but first, I assume you guys would all recommend the movie, right?
Yeah, I would say watch it. I definitely
Oh, absolutely. I think it's perfect too, because whether you're into chick flicks, comedy, etc., whether you're new to pageantry, whether you just like something that's like kind of like a mystery, like this has like literally every component to it that combines a lot of different genres, I guess is the word. So I think it's like a really good movie for like a family night. Like, doesn't matter what you're into, you're gonna like it.
There's a lot of stars in this movie. Michael Caine, William Shatner.
Yeah, for sure.
Sandy, of course.
Oh, Sandy? Are
Sandy.
you guys on like nicknames
Well, Ben
now?
was, so I assume
Sandy. Yeah, no, we all
You guys are
we're
BFFs?
very close. We're on close personal friends with Sandy basis.
Nice. I want to be friends with Sandy.
It took me a while to come up with a name for this game, and I settled on Miss Congeniality. It's a Q&A. I'm going to ask you questions.
Hold on, can you say that one more time?
Miss Congeniality.
Okay.
So again, it's a Q&A. Obvious from the name, that is what I'm talking about.
Obviously.
And so I have some questions that I took from a web page titled 100 Thoughtful and Philosophical Questions That Pageant Judges Have Asked competitors.
Oh, let's go.
How do you want to do this? I can ask you each questions, or I can ask one question. You each try and give the best answer. What would you prefer?
I think we should get different questions.
Okay, I agree. Let's start with Lyndsey.
You're not on my level, Kyle.
Let's start with Lyndsey. If you were God for a day, how would you change the world?
World peace. No, I'm just kidding. If I were God for a day, how would I change the world? I would honestly make it more of a curriculum in high school to have more volunteer hours, because I feel like if you are rooted in a setting that you are raised to give back to your community, then you will continue that. And I think that that's how we make the world a better place, by giving back.
I like that. I think perfectly, just right around 30 seconds. Very thoughtful, philosophical answer. And just picking it at random. Kyle, what, according to you, is an ideal man?
According to me, an ideal man would take me on a date on April 25th with a walk on the beach where we discuss movies, music, and film.
I like
Thank
that.
you.
Thanks.
Are you walking barefoot or with shoes? That's important.
It's barefoot, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Oof,
you
not into
almost
that.
forgot that detail.
Toes in the sand.
All right, so I'd say that one's a tie. Round one's a tie.
What's the tiebreaker?
Well, that's a different movie. That's a different movie.
We're going to do a few questions. All right, so next one, again, completely choosing at random.
It's rigged.
Lyndsey, is the world doing enough to slow down climate change?
Wait, whoa. Why am I getting all the world questions here? I think this is rigged, man.
I'm just picking it at random. It's completely random.
As a scientist, I don't believe the world is doing enough. I think that there's so many more things that we can do, and it's so many small steps that we can do. For example, by using less plastic and more reusable things, like whether it's a piece of Tupperware instead of a paper plate, or a metal fork instead of a plastic fork. Little things like that are going to reduce our footprint on this world.
That's a great answer. Well done. Thank you for that. Kyle, do you believe you're a good role model for young girls?
You stink.
Thank you for that great question, Ben. I do believe that I am a great role model for young women. I believe, you have to show young women who you are as a person. And I feel like whether I am out on the street or in the classroom or at the gym, I wear my heart on my sleeve and I am the exact same person in every single one of those scenarios. So I do believe that I am a great role model for that. Thank you.
Okay. We're going to call that one a tie, too.
No, you can give the points to Kyle on that one. I vote Kyle. That was
yeah, you know what? I'm leaning towards Kyle. That's a great answer.
That was a much better answer than mine.
All right. So final rounds. Last chance for Lyndsey to, catch up here. What, according to you, is a true friend?
I would say a true friend. Wait, why is
I'll wait till you intro.
Are you thinking that?
No,
the song?
I wasn't.
All right. Serious talk. Thank you, Ben.
Yeah, of course.
I believe that your friendship is defined by not how often you see the person, but how supportive you are of that person. So some of my best friends live across the United States right now. And when I had my ACL surgery, it was not within minutes that these people were texting me and making sure I was okay and willing to fly out and come see me. And I think that that's what defines your friendship is what can you do to support another through a hard time? And I think that your true friendship is really defined by what is your ability to support that person and vice versa.
That's a great answer. Thank you.
So I was laughing at that question because...
Were you? I didn't know.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry for interrupting your interview question. But I was laughing at that question because someone who was judging a pageant had told me that when people are bombing during their interview, they'll ask them, what qualities do you look for in a friend? So I thought that was funny that...
Is it because I'm bombing my interview?
No, you're doing a great job.
See, I didn't know.
I'm super rusty.
I'm just picking these at random, as I said. Thank you for that insight, Kyle. Okay, last question. Last chance to submit to cement your lead. I got a few left.
Or submit your failure. That's what Ben was trying to say.
Picking at random, just spinning the wheel here. What is the true essence of being a woman?
Thank you for that wonderful question, Ben. I do think it is hard to pinpoint one specific thing, which is the true essence of being a woman, whether that is their brains, their brawn, their beauty. We can make it the 3 B's of essence of a woman: brains, brawn, and beauty. And I think if you can bring all of those 3 things together, that is the true essence of a woman. Thank you.
Good answer. I think you went over a little bit. I don't know if that's disqualifying or not, but
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. All right, Lyndsey's the winner. Good job, Lyndsey.
Yeah, any chance we can disqualify Kyle, I'm for it.
Well, thanks for playing along, guys. Anything you want to promote? I don't know. School just started again for you, so doing homework, I guess.
Yeah. Clean your room. Make your bed.
Hold on. He just literally said do homework and you said clean your room.
Yeah, this is for all the young women out there that I'm a great role model for. Make sure you do your homework. Make sure you're being nice to your parents or your guardians.
All right. So Kyle wants to plug just general mindfulness.
Be a good person.
Being a
Make good
human.
choices.
Lyndsey, anything you want?
Make good choices.
Make good choices.
Anything you want to plug?
I would say if you are listening out there, you are interested in following more podcasts like these that are movie related, you're into movies, definitely make sure that you are subscribing or following or downloading Ben's podcast.
Hey.
I'm going to give the plug right back to you as some brownie points for letting me win the past game.
Nice. Thanks.
No, he's got some really cool episodes planned up, and going into October, he'll definitely have some really scary stuff coming up. I will not be a part of that because I am a chicken, but it sounds really cool and I'm excited to listen to it.
I'm also a chicken. I don't know if I'm as excited, but
I'm excited. I'm excited for those.
Will tis be the season? Would say tis the season, but it's not yet. It's September.
We'll say spooky, scary skeletons.
Yeah, spooky, scary skeletons. Stay tuned for the three S's to complement your 3 B's. Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.